Good morning, everybody. My name is Mike at Filmboy24. Today, we're on round number 34 of my little found film series here on YouTube. That means 34 times, at least on camera, I've processed an old roll of film that was obtained from a myriad of different sources, but it was shot presumably many, many years ago. We're going to see if we can figure out what's on this one, and it's sound film. And the found film journey continues. So before I get started on this, and this is the Cameraman Mike's sound film box set, so that'll be in that playlist there. Before I get started, a couple of very quick updates. This and this. I've talked about these two particular found films in previous episodes. I don't know if you remember, but last found film, number 33, we processed a roll of this old Kodak Plus X 7276, and I mentioned that I had two more rolls. The one we did, I'll put a little reminder, right up here somewhere, of the one we just did 2 weeks ago. I went ahead and processed the other two rolls. And they always say, at least I always try to remember to say, sometimes I forget, that I'm going to show you the results of most every roll, and I think I have up until now, so long as it doesn't contain, inappropriate results or things that, probably we shouldn't be showing on YouTube. And yes, it finally happened. The two rolls of this that I had left, one of them will be showing you on a future episode. Let me give you a very quick sneak peek at what was on that roll of inappropriateness. Now, you won't see any of the, inappropriateness, but I can show you a little bit. But there was a name, there's some title cards. The guy apparently, was sort of feeling like he was a filmmaker or whatnot. So he did put some very lengthy titles at the beginning. It does have his name. So let me throw some of the very beginning and then into a little bit of the intro, and then we're going to have to cut it off. Here it is really quick. That's about all I can show you for this. Sorry to say. This roll here, I've talked about this before, the Ektachrome 16mm. It was very old. It was in a batch of film that I had gotten, I think last year or earlier this year. It also included a roll that we did of found film. It was 16mm, and to be honest, I can't remember what that roll was. If I can remember, I'll put a little clip right up here so you can refresh your memory. Well, this was in that batch as well. Now, it didn't say exposed on the box. There was no writing on it or anything. But when I opened it, it's in a daylight spool, so you can open it in dim light. This is the end of the film that was showing. So when you run, a lot of this old film especially, when you run it through, on the very end, it's sort of got this, pointillism text, these dot matrix text on the film that says exposed ANSCO. This was on the very, very outer edge, which means typically it's exposed. So what I did, and what I always do, is I'll actually pulled off a decent amount of the end of it, and then I cut it, and then I pulled some more off, maybe about 3 feet, cut that, put it in my little 16mm DIY Patterson tank. I'll show you how I did it. See the link up there? And I tried processing it, and I had to do it 3 different times, and I'll tell you, I got nothing out of all 3 times. I did it in black and white, different times. I did it in E6, and I did it in ECN2. Those are the 3 different, processes that I used. The 2 color processes, completely clear. The film was absolutely, completely clear. I didn't see any edge code, so I don't know if I just did it too hot. I just used full temp E6, full temp ECN2. Clear images, not clear images, clear film. Literally just looked like a piece of Scotch tape with holes in it. The black and white, completely black. So I tried it at 5 minutes. Usually that's a good time. You can get, any kind of image at all. It'll tell you whether you need to expose longer or not as long. Anyway, I know I'm off on a tangent rambling, but I didn't get anything out of this film. Nothing in there, nothing in here. So I got a bad feeling about this. I might actually shoot a little bit of it and double expose it if it is exposed, and try again, see what we can get. Anyway, on to this. I know, it's getting, whatever. This is another roll of cameraman mics. This starts the very first cameraman mics sound film, Ektachrome 160 Type A, that we're doing. That was actually, all the rest of mine are in boxes now. There were some that were loose. I don't know if you remember, or refresh your memory, I got 56 rolls of this type of film. Most of it is sound Ektachrome, some of it's sound Kodachrome, and a tiny bit of it is silent Ektachrome. 56 rolls, and it was all exposed from the same batch, and from what I believe, the same family. We've learned a tiny bit about them. If you're interested in seeing the entire series of this, what we have now sort of stamped the Cameraman Mics sound film box set, because it's all one big batch, I'll put a link to that playlist up here and you can catch yourself up. I think there's 12 or 14 of them in there already. So this is the next one in line. And like I said, last time I did one of these rolls, it was the last roll that didn't come in a box, so I didn't know the expiration. Now, as long as they're all in the right boxes, then we kind of know that, maybe some order to them. In other words, like this roll here was the oldest one of the ones I have left per the expiration on the box. So the expiration on the box, I should have written it down. I don't remember when it was, late 70s, early 80s. The oldest one we had, I did process the film. Here it is. And I always put a little piece of gaffer's tape on there and write a couple of quick notes when I did it, what kind of film. And it did have an edge code on it. The edge code was a triangle. Now, according to Kodak's very, very own spiffy little website, that means that this particular roll of film was manufactured in 1978. So we know it's old. It was probably shot in 78, maybe 79. I processed it in my normal procedure for this old film. This is the older Ektachrome 160. You see the blue rectangle here? That typically, not always, typically means it's the first run Ektachrome 160. It has a smooth cart. That was what they were doing initially. Then they added a texture to the cart. So that means this is some of the older stuff. It was the EM24 process, I believe, and not the newer EM26. It needed a pre-hardener, so that's why I don't process this older stuff in color or in E6, because it melts the emulsion. And when you melt the emulsion, you're SOL, or silly and out of luck. With that, let me show you a very quick montage of my process and exactly how I do, and you'll see you getting the nasty rim jet off. This is a canned montage. I know you've seen it a million times. If you don't want to, just zip forward through it. It's a minute long. Here's the montage. And that is how it's done. So one last thing, there are a couple of names mentioned in this, and I think we've already determined, if you remember the very first cameraman mic one we did, pretty sure it was the very first one, it was the little guy in the swimming pool, and his father or swim instructor or somebody kept screaming, "Joey, Joey, Joey," and we kind of sort of joked a little bit about hoping Joey would become an Olympic swimmer. Well, Joey's in this one too. His name is very well pronounced. His mother is behind the camera. We'll get to that in just a minute. And there's one more name, his brother. Here's the film.
Honey, you might ruin it.
I got the hang of it.
Yeah, I think so, but you're cutting it on the angle.
Joe? Joey. Oh, behind you, love. Wave, Joe.
Go on. Yeah. Go over here and pull the top of the tree that way.
David?
Get over here, Joey. Get your hand in there.
Dad, no! Watch out, Dad! Get hurt!
Stand behind it, Joe. Stand right there.
Ready?
Yeah? Okay.
Turn around and wave, Joey. Oh,
All three of us will do it.
turn around, Joe. David, turn around. Joey, turn around.
Yeah, try first.
Got it?
I'll have it.
It's a good thing we don't have to haul this more than a mile. Hi. Oh man.
Hi.
Let's go this way.
Okay.
Got it?
Yes,
Okay.
we all have it.
We'll pay for it.
Sticky ones on the door.
Oh, you pay for it. Yeah,
I'm just doing weird. Oh yeah? Ah!
Dirty, dirty, dirty little boy.
I guess that's
Alrighty.
okay. Time.
David? Ah, turkey.
Now, that was Christmas-ish, Christmassy-ish. Around Christmas, clearly, because they're Clark Griswolding a Christmas tree at the Christmas tree farm, cutting it down with their bare hands. That's how it used to be done. It used to kind of be fun. I think we did that a couple of times back in the day. I always get this question. Always. I get an email, I get a message, I get a comment. The grain, the grain, the grain, the grain, the grain. It's so grainy, it's so this, it's so that. First of all, this film is over 40 years old, probably poorly stored. Second of all, I cross-process it. Cross-process means that you're using a process opposite of its normal intended process, in the sense that this is a reversal and I'm making it a negative. That adds grain. Alternate process is simply I'm using black and white instead of color. You know, if I did black and white reversal, that's just an alternate process. Cross is actually going from reversal to negative. That's what I'm doing. When you make it a negative, you introduce some more grain. On top of that, the emulsion on this really old stuff really is delicate. Even when I use 68 degree Fahrenheit temperatures, which is what I do, HC 110B, 7 minutes, 67 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Always do that with my Ektachrome. Even when you do that, the emulsion's going to suffer. So you start getting what I consider now like desert cracks. Desert cracks. You know what desert cracks are when you have the, you have the drought and you see the cracks all over the desert? I tried to take a picture of the emulsion on this film just so you could kind of see it's rough. It almost feels like a very fine sandpaper on the backside because the emulsion's starting to pull up a little bit and pitting a little bit. Gives it kind of a faux grain look. So it starts looking like, when you look carefully, it starts, I don't know, kind of like a puzzle, you know? But a lot of that's not actually grain. It's just poor emulsion. Coming out, coming off, coming. So there's so many different variables that add to the grain. I also render this at 18 frames per second, but I'm rendering this video that you're watching right now at 24 frames per second. This is scanned at 2K. The video you're watching right now is shot at 4K. So there's a lot of messing with this film before it finally makes it to YouTube, and that's another level. You upload to YouTube and it does its transformation to the film as well. So there's a lot of things. I can tell you that the film actually looks a lot better when you just render it out at 18 frames per second and post it like that, and you don't have all this garble blab like I do. But I like to garble blab. So, so if you recognize anybody in this film or any of my found films, well, reach out to them. Send them to this video or this channel, or just send anyone to this channel. I hope you enjoyed this. I have a lot of fun doing this found film. I have a lot of fun working with film. I am now back to working on my 20 Super 8 camera challenge, where I'm going to use one roll of film in 20 different Super 8 cameras, so long as I have 20. I've counted, about 18 so far. I'm still digging. We're going to see what that turns out like. I've been working a little bit on my DIY video tap part 2. I'm working on some batteries now. I'm going to actually build some more Aeroflex S batteries, and I'm going to sell a few of those. So if you're interested in an Airy battery for about half the price of what you buy for the professional, and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, enough about all that. We'll get into that later. If you enjoyed this video, do me a solid, whoop, there it is. Tap the like button for me. It's free. Takes about 1/4 of a second, and it helps my YouTube algorithm. If you think I've earned it, see that right there? That says subscribe, if you're not able to read it. That says subscribe. If you feel like I've earned it, consider it. Subscribe, because I do a lot of found film. I have probably another, 80 or 90 rolls of found film right now, different sources. And we have a lot of fun. I also do a lot of other kooky things. I shoot tons of movie film. I've processed about 75 rolls of movie film so far this year. I process almost daily, usually every other day. So there's always something going on here, Filmboy24. And until the very next time that I see all of your beautiful, stunningly shining faces, what that meant. There it is. That's it. That's the go-around. I'll see all of you on the very next go-around.